Now, what would be that one piece of motivation that the two of you would give to the up-and-coming artist who wants to stay as a musician and does not want to conform to society's expectations of how to make it and be successful in life?
Man, do it.
Do it.
Just do it.
Look, the biggest podcast where you can learn them lessons. Line for line where you can learn from different sections. Made it out the mud, come tell your story, blessings. Never know who listening, never know who stressing. Devon gave you a voice, come speak your honest truth. Line for line, go bar for bar, it's up to you. Wanna talk sports, gov, and politics? Wanna talk about where you from and your accomplishments? The Line for Line is really where you need to be. A platform that's really made for folks like you and me. You can find it all no matter what you seek. Whether you calling or you listening, tune in every week.
All right. And just like that, we're back on another episode of Line for Line. I have two very special guests in the building. I will let them introduce themselves to the world.
My name is Gina Marie, and
My name is Paul Hoskins.
And we are the founding members of the local Kenosha band, Would You Kindly.
Would you kindly? So just tell us a little bit about how you got started with that.
So we went on a date. Turned out we were both musicians. We met online.
Oh, wow.
And turned out we were both musicians, and he knew of a really great open mic at Sassy Bees in downtown Kenosha. Mm-hmm. And we went and played some really terrible covers. Really terrible
about
covers.
4 years ago now?
Almost 4 years ago. And we like music, and we both have been musicians. I've been in bands my whole life. He's played in bands and played music his whole life. And so we're like, well, why don't we just keep playing these open mics? And that's kind of how not only our relationship started, but the band started. Because they were like, well, you need a band name. There's more than one of you. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, Would You Kindly? Yeah. And they're like, all right, cool. And that's how Would You Kindly was born. It was born out of open mics and impulse. And then we got offered our first gig at Rustic Road. Mm-hmm. When it was myself, Paul, and we had met a violin player playing at open mics, and the three of us played acoustic, and he played a kick drum with his foot, and we just played this 3-hour show. And then it was like someone put a brick on a gas pedal, mm-hmm. and it's just been a forward trajectory ever since, and it's been a really wild but awesome 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
just tell us a little bit about growing up. Obviously, that's a two-part question because there's two guests. So I'll hear two
right.
different. But just tell us a little bit about growing up and what the music culture was like for you growing up, like who you listened to, maybe instruments that you played.
Sure, you go first.
Oh, man. All right, well, here's your next hour of this podcast. So I don't know. Growing up, I grew up out in the county of Kenosha, out in Silver Lake, and I went to Wilmot High School. And I played music since I was in kindergarten. My mom started me and all of my sisters when we were growing up. As soon as we hit kindergarten, my mom had us in piano lessons immediately, whether we liked it or not. I promise none of us did when we started. We most of us quit when we hit 8th grade playing piano. Only one of my sisters kept going, and she actually took over for our piano teacher for a while, and still now plays occasionally and will help me out with some things when I need some assistance because I've lost my touch with the piano. But that's how I started. I played that for about 8 years.
The piano.
Yep. And after 4 years of playing the piano, once I hit 4th grade, I picked up percussion in the school band. Contrary to all of the instructors telling me that I should play something else, they really liked me playing the trombone. Apparently, I could play that pretty well. Yeah. But I really wanted to hit things. That was where I was at. Yeah. So I did that, and I started picking up playing snare drum, bells, anything that you could hit. I was playing that for all of the choirs and everything, and hit jazz band in 5th grade and started playing drums and actually getting to improvise and train with our actual drum teacher. We had an in-school drum teacher that was just incredible. His name was Mr. Varhula. I played up until about 7th grade. I was doing that, and then I picked up guitar, and I kept playing both. Then at that point, I was playing both guitar and drums, and I've been doing that ever since. Jazz band, marching band, whatever band I could get into. It didn't matter what style I played in.
Weird metal bands.
I played in a lot of metal bands. That's what I grew up listening to. My first favorite band was Iron Maiden, hair metal and stuff like that. So that's what I would learn how to play. But I didn't care if somebody was asking me to come and play funk or ska, punk bands, mm-hmm. metal bands, rock, country. I don't care. I'll play whatever. If somebody's willing to jam and teach me something, I'm here to go. I want to learn how to play, and I want to learn how to do something better. Yes, there is something to take from every style of music, and that is the biggest thing I learned as a drummer is I really like improvising because it really teaches me a lot of different things to do. You know, you play one style of music long enough, you get stuck into this same exact pattern over and over and over again, and it gets old after a while. But you go and start playing jazz and then go back to playing metal, you got a lot of new tricks in your bag that your bandmates don't expect, you know?
Yeah.
But then, yeah, once I met her, that's when I really started picking up my guitar again. I stopped playing for a little while in college and picked it up when I met her. I was playing covers and she wanted to sing, and I'm thinking like, all right, it's been about 5 years since I've been in a band and trying to play something, but I'd really like to get back out there and start doing it again.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And me, I have a very different music history. I've been singing my whole life, and
No
that's
way.
about it. My mom was saying that I was singing before I was talking, and I started with old school country music.
Wow.
And, you know, the first song I ever learned the words to was I Try to Think About Elvis by Patti Loveless, shortly followed by a Notorious B.I.G. song, but that was because
way.
of my older sister. Yeah. Hypnotize.
There's actually Notorious B.I.G. right there behind you, one of his albums. As well,
Yes.
too.
Yeah, my sister listened to a lot of that music. She's 8 years older than me. And so I was going between country music with my mom, hip hop, rap, pop music with my sister. And my dad was very into AC/DC, Metallica music. So as I was growing up, I've always been a singer. I've been singing my whole life. I don't play an instrument. I can pluck on a piano to like help me read sheet music, but I don't have that diversified. Every other member of the band does. I don't. I really hone my skill in singing. I've sung opera, jazz, Broadway, country, pop, rock. Really tried my hand at just about everything. I've directed choirs. I've been in show choirs. Musically, that's been my biggest passion is singing.
Yeah.
And how that can translate into movement. I was a dancer and a dance instructor for a long time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You
So I
just full of
taught
everything.
Yeah, I've had a lot of dreams and a lot of passions, and I tried really hard to pursue them all. But the one that stuck with me through everything was music, and was by the time I got to college, I had an instructor who was probably the first one to believe in me on my own, not as a part of a choir, as a backup, but really as a solo voice. And he thought that I had something really valuable to say. And so he pushed me a lot to write my own music and start exploring the words inside of my own head. And so I write all the lyrics for Would You Kindly. Other than one song at this point, I've written all the lyrics. And that was one of the most powerful things for me, was to find my voice in a world where we're mostly just screaming into a void. Social media, you're screaming into a void. And I felt like I really had something I could say. And this person really inspired me to keep doing that. I think if I had gone to any other school, I don't know if I'd be doing this right now.
Oh, wow.
And I went to culinary school.
So you can cook.
I can cook, yeah.
You can sing. You can play a little bit of instruments. Is there anything you can't do?
Whistle.
Oh, my God.
That has been the running joke since college, is that I can't whistle.
If it helps you feel any better, I can't whistle either.
Hey,
And it wasn't until I was an adult until I learned how to snap. So
nice.
there's a bunch of things that I didn't know either.
There's a lot of things I don't know how to do, but the things I do know how to do, I'm really passionate about. Even if I'm bad at them. I can't draw, but I like to do it. You know, I try to pursue all of the passions because life's too short to not.
Yeah.
And, you know, meeting him, I had stopped making music for probably about 6 years before we met. I had a very bad experience. It's what we wrote our recent album about. And he helped me find my voice again. The band that we play with, Would You Kindly, I mean, they helped me find my voice again, which was a really beautiful thing.
Our first song, we actually basically refurbished one of her original band's songs. She took the same lyrics and I took the chords and basically rewrote the song. We kept the lyrics, but changed the melodies, changed the rhythms, changed everything else about it.
Now, when it comes to music, what would you say has been the hardest part of the journey for you guys individually and collectively?
That's a good one.
Those are probably very different answers for each of us.
Right.
There's a lot of fear and rejection that goes into it, but the hardest part for me is because I don't play an instrument, feeling like I can't do it on my own. And I've struggled with that for a really long time, that I'm a singer, but I can't play anything. So either I'm doing karaoke or I'm not doing anything. And that was one of my biggest problems in the band I was in before this. My previous band member assaulted me. And so I left the band, and we wrote an album about it. And it was the album Would You Kindly wrote is about that, the aftermath, and going through that. But I spent a really long time not believing I could do it on my own. And that was the biggest struggle for me in music. It wasn't learning the notes and learning how to sing. It was finding within myself that I am strong enough without anybody else. You know, there's always support systems and people there to help you, but being okay with being enough, whatever that means, was a really hard battle. And it's still sometimes a hard one to fight. I still can't play an instrument, so I'm still very reliant on the people I make music with. And I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's a beautiful connection to have with people, but also that's a big fear for me. What about you?
Oh, I wish I could come up with something profound and meaningful.
Oh my God.
But I guess for me, it's mostly just nobody tells you to pursue your dreams as a kid to do music. That's not a thing that like is a you grow up here and that's not a job you can get when you're older. It's
always about what's gonna pay.
Right. That's not gonna pay you. That's not a real job. That's not a real thing you can do with your life. And sure, they might be right. We don't make our money off of doing this, but it is a passion that we now pursue, and our jobs pay for us to do this thing that we actually care about, which is, I guess that was the hardest thing for me to come over. That's kind of why I stopped doing it during college, because I was going to school for engineering, and I was thinking that's what I was going to do with my life, and you know what, I don't have time for music. I'm working and going to school. That's what I'm doing. I don't have time to pick up my guitar when I get home, because I'm going right to bed so I can get back up and do it again in the morning. But now at this point, my job is... it's important, but it's secondary to my music career, because this is what I want to do. This is what makes me happy. My job pays for what I want to do. You know?
Big facts.
Yeah, that's a big thing for most of us in the band. The band doesn't pay us. Band pays for itself. It pays for recording, some equipment, but not our personal stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but like batteries for the sound system and shit like that. Stuff like that.
When one of our cables breaks, we'll get a new one with the band fund. The band pays for its own merch. You know, when it comes to our branded picks or our T-shirts, our sweatshirts, stuff like that, that's all paid out of the band fund. But we do that so that the band members don't have to bring their own money into it. Yeah. We may not get paid out, but we don't have to pay to play.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what would be that one piece of motivation that the two of you would give to the up-and-coming artist who wants to stay as a musician and does not want to conform to society's expectations of how to make it and be successful in life?
Man, do it.
Do it.
Just do it. If it is what makes you happy, that's what matters. I don't even care. Like she said earlier, I don't care if you're bad at it.
Yeah.
Some of my favorite musicians are not good at what they do, but they're a whole lot of fun, man. I've played in a lot of terrible bands that I will never show footage of because I sounded awful. But man, I was having a great time. Yeah. It was just fun. It's fun. It's worth it. And you learn a lot. You meet a lot of people. It's what makes you happy. Go for it.
The real thing about music is that it connects people across languages, across cultural lines. Every line there can be, music can cross that. It's a beautiful thing and it's a powerful thing. Good, bad, or indifferent, do it. And I agree. I was going to say, just do it. It doesn't have to, if you want it to be your career, you got to fight for it. And there will be more rejection than you know what to do with, and you keep going. Because at some point, someone's going to say yes. I can't say music's going to pay your bills, but I can say that you can make music a job, a thing that you do with your life. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be super famous and on the top 100 charts to be a musician. You have to love music to be a musician. You have to show up to your local open mics. You have to show up for the bands that play around you, and they'll show up for you. Yeah. And that is the most beautiful thing, is that community. Here in Kenosha, we have a huge music community. We wouldn't have gotten started without the open mics. You know, they gave us an opportunity and they gave us the support to keep going. Every time it got hard and every time that, you know, we were like, I don't know if we're going to keep doing this, but we like doing it, but it's a lot of work. And they're like, yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah. It's a lot of work. Don't stop working, because art is just as important as anything else we do in this world.
It saves people's lives.
It's that over glorified idea of the grind. Everybody, you always got to be grinding to get your bread, that kind of BS. But if it's something you actually enjoy doing, it doesn't feel like a grind.
No.
You
just
have
love
those
it.
days where it's busy, but you know what? As soon as you get there and you start doing it, man, it's worth it. It's worth it. It doesn't feel like, the grind is your day job.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's looking for that 3:30 going home, but you get home and you're busy doing stuff you actually enjoy. Listen.
You get off early than anyone I've ever met.
And I worked hard to get this job. I used to work night shift. I'm done with that.
Yeah. So it's actually been brought to my attention that you two brought a little tune for us here at Line for Line.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. We are ready for that and see what you got before we close out.
All right. Let's do it.
I'm going to go on my little Instagram live just to see how many people are active.
Go for it.
Out of my almost 2,000, I have 1,500 active right now.
I can tell you when, what day it happened. Looking back, I didn't want to see. In retrospect, was in the way you looked at me, in your ice cold kiss left on my cheek. With your eyes wide shut, you no longer come mine. With a hole in your heart, I stopped beating in time. Lay me down on this bed we made. Suffocate on every mistake we ever made. It's never been enough to feel the way I feel in love. I'm too tired to say what we need to hear. Baby, love, don't come here. If love was the goal, then we failed long ago. Be it drugs or regret or the words we said. Refused to admit it, we were doomed in the end. And I'll be the first to admit you didn't do it alone. I was the one who broke down the walls of our home. Lay me down on this bed we made. Suffocate on every mistake we ever made. It's never been enough to feel the way I feel in love. I'm too tired to say what we need to hear. Baby, love, don't come here. So lay me down on this bed we made. Suffocate on every mistake we ever made. Lay me down on this bed we made. Suffocate on every mistake we ever made. It's never been enough to feel the way I feel in love. I'm too tired to say what we need to hear. Baby, love, don't come here.
That was really, really fire.
Thank you.
I can't wait to put this out. As we get ready to close out, is there anyone that you guys want to shout out there in the world that might be watching?
Very much so. Our bandmates. So there's 5 of us that take that stage every time we play, and we play all the time. Miss Haven Wells, Miss B. Haven, Daniel Harrison, our bassist, Megan Weaver, our violin player, and our manager, Josh Maggs. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, and we're really grateful to get to take the stage with them all the time. Next time will be February 4th at Fusion, and February 5th up in Milwaukee for our first show there. So up at Anodyne Coffee House. So they'd be the ones that I want to say, thank you guys for doing this with us all the time. You are it.
And where could those followers find you guys at on socials?
at Would You Kindly Band. That's on Facebook, Instagram, and our website, which has merch, show dates, all those things. WouldYouKindlyBand.com.
And just like that. Oh, did you have something to say, sir?
I was just going to say merch like this sweet T-shirt that our drummer actually designed this whole thing.
There you go. And just like that, we are all wrapped up with Line for Line.
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh yeah, I'm going line for line.